Hi everyone, so this is my 29th book review and I'm reviewing the book called Be Your Future Self Now. I'm going to try and get straight into it. I'm going to try and keep it short. I don't know how I'm going to keep it short. I've got loads of notes. There's loads in there. I literally have still got a few chapters left to finish this book, but there's just too much in there. You know, when you're reading a book and you just think it's full of information, full of knowledge. I gave this book 9 out of 10. I would have given it 10, but because I haven't got to the end yet, and so I just thought to myself, I haven't finished reading it completely. It's probably worth a bit more, maybe it's worth 9.5, but anyway, it's a brilliant book by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. As with all the books, the book will be on the thumbnail, so you'll be able to look at the author and you'll be able to look that up. So let's get into the book then. So it's really interesting, it goes really deep, it explores things at a level which is, it suits me because I feel like when I'm reading a book, I want to gather the knowledge from the book, I want to be able to stop, I want a book that makes me think. So I don't want to read a book that you've heard 100 times, that's unoriginal, I've said this with a few books that I've read that they're good, but an example is Atomic Habits, brilliant book, and it's got all the press, you know, and it's got 10 out of 10 bestseller and all of this, and it's brilliant, but there's lots of ideas in there that have come from other books like The Compound Effect. This one, I think it just, because it's written by a doctor, I like the way it's written, so I'm going to talk to you about a few things from the book. So it says that you need to be public about your future self and you'll immediately stop being consistent with your past. So you need to talk about it. Lots of people go against that. They say don't share your goals, don't tell people what you're going to do in the future. I don't agree with that because I think putting things out into the universe and also putting things out there it holds you accountable, but also when you tell the universe this is what I'm going to do or this is what I'm already doing, it happens. That happens with me anyway. Anytime I've had a plan of I've even had visualizations of like where I'm going to live, where I'm going to go on holiday, how much money I'm going to get, how many clients I'm going to get a certain week, and it always happens because you're already saying it's possible. So it says, because we're disconnected from our future selves, we opt for near immediate goals. The short-term seeking ends up costing our future selves big. This brings up a counterintuitive but important truth. The more connected you are to your future self, the better you live in the present. So he's not saying that you should not focus on being in the present moment. What he's saying is the present moment that you're living in, but you should still be connected with the future, who you want to be. So example with that would be if someone's working towards getting a certain qualification or they're working towards earning a certain amount of money in the future, they can't be living in a certain way in the present. If you're not doing the studying for those exams or you're not enrolled on those courses, if you're not living your life where you are getting income or you're really rubbish with money anyway, your future self is not going to be wealthy because you're not going to be doing enough things towards doing that. So I suppose it's about goal setting, but projecting that into the future. So the book is divided into 3 sections. Part 1 is threats to your future self, and there's 7 chapters saying all the things that are getting in the way of your future self. Part 2 is truths about your future self, another 7 chapters, and part 3 is steps for being your future self, and then there's a conclusion called Be Your Future Self Now. So he talks about Mr. Beast, who is has 136 million subs on YouTube. I can't even get my head around that. 156 million people are subscribing to one person's channel. Now this guy's a millionaire and he does lots of little I haven't watched any of his what's it called, I haven't watched any of his videos, but apparently he does things like he'll give away £10,000 and he'll give away £1,000 to like 10 people, or he gives away lots of money and he does lots of things like that. And the book was talking about the fact that when he first started his channel, he didn't have any subscribers, he was just a normal YouTuber like all of us are, and then he projected or visualized what he was going to do. He wrote a plan of over the next 6 months, this is who he's going to be and where he's going to be, and everything that he wrote came true. So I found that was quite inspirational. Things like that are quite inspiring. It says, as human beings, we have a unique characteristic held by no other species on the planet. People have the ability to not only think about your own future, but to have countless potential scenarios for your future. So to me, that is a superpower because it means But you can dream and you can imagine and you can visualize and you can be endless with it. I mean, we can sit here and we can imagine ourselves on a beach somewhere. We're not there yet, but we probably get there eventually. But your imagination can take you wherever it wants to be. It doesn't matter what difficult situation you're in, as long as you have control over your brain and your thinking and your the capacity to believe that something's possible. Yesterday, I watched half of the Wimbledon final. I had to go out for a family meal. I came back, I watched all the interviews on YouTube and stuff, and there was someone was saying about the women's final. Actually, they said this person is never going to win the Olympics, never going to win Wimbledon final. She choked and blah blah blah. They were saying all these things, and I said, you don't know the future. I said to this person, unless you know what the future holds. The fact is, she's beat lots of opponents to get here. She's been to 2 finals last year and this year. So how can you say she's never going to get to a final? You're not there yet. You're not in the future. And it's just that thing, isn't it, of, or even like champions, they have to visualize themselves being there. They have to visualize their future self whilst they're in the gym training. They're not thinking when they're training that we're just in the gym and it's just a normal session. They're thinking about, okay, well, when I pick up the medal, lots of them have said, like especially the Olympians especially, and also people who play tennis, have imagined themselves picking up the trophy, or they've imagined themselves with the gold medal. Now that is so powerful because that drives you. So it's saying you may have had lots of potential options before, such as taking a certain job or staying where you are, moving to a different country or remaining local. We have hundreds of potential futures we could fulfill and countless decisions we can make for our lives. We think about these options and eventually make a decision about which direction to go in. So it talks a lot about, there's so much here, but I don't want to go on too much. The quality of the connection you have with your own future self determines the quality of your life and your behaviours, because if we're disconnected from our future selves, we opt for near immediate goals, dopamine hits, but that doesn't work because it doesn't take us there. So it says, know that whatever you already want is yours already. Act as though everything you want can be and will be yours. So that's like law of attraction stuff. So there's a few chapters that I'm just going to read from now. I've just made a little note of these. So some of the things it says is about some important truths. So this is the section where it's talking about some truths. So it's not the past, but it's the future that drives the passions, actions and behaviours. All goals can be placed into categories you either approach or avoid. I've made a separate short about this particular thing, but this is just giving you some ideas about truths about your future self. So this chapter that I haven't talked about is future self. The threats to your future self are not having hope in your future, so that you your life loses meaning. So what he says here is people who don't see a future for themselves, or they don't imagine a good future, they don't have a good present, because what's happening is they're already saying, well, what's the point in me trying because nothing's going to be good in the future? What's the point in me earning money because I'm going to be broke? What's the point in me being happy because I'm always going to end up depressed? What's the point in me getting in a relationship because all my other relationships have been bad? So when people are projecting negativity into the future, what's the point in them getting up in the present and doing anything? Because they're going to say to themselves that it's pointless. So what he's trying to say is you need to have hope in the future. Even if your present is not where you want to be, you still always have to have hope. It says also a reactive narrative about your past stunts your future. If you're always reacting to something that happened in the past, so sometimes we call this in counselling triggers. So if you're continuously triggered by something that happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it stunts any option of you moving forward in the future, because you can be triggered by anything at any time, but you shouldn't allow that trigger to then stop you from thinking, well, I can't have a good future. He talks about being unaware of your environment creates a random evolution. So you need to really be proactive about the environments that you find yourself in. If it means, like for me, I spend a lot of time by myself, but I also, when I'm around people, so yesterday there was lots of our family, about 20 of us all together. When I go out, I spend time with family, friends, but I like to spend time by myself because I know I can control the environment that I'm in. I can control the things I want to hear, the things I want to do, and I don't like people impacting on my mentality, if you like. And there's nothing I can do. I can't control someone from acting a certain way, saying certain things. So it's all about, if your environment is positive most of the time, or if you control that environment, you've got a better chance of getting the things you want. It talks about success. Yeah, there's something in here about the arena. So let me get onto that. I see I've already gone 10 minutes. I'm going to just do another few minutes because I don't want this to be really long. I was going to do a part 2. So it talks about the film. This is a film that I've tried to watch, but apparently you have to pay to watch it on YouTube. I've never heard of this film, and it's called In Time with Justin Timberlake. It's from 2011. It's a science fiction film. Never heard of it, but the film is about a character called Will Salas who lives in the ghetto. Instead of money, time is the only currency, and everyone has a digital clock embedded into their arm, and it indicates every time you pay for something, you lose time. And what he does in the book is he relates that to how certain people in certain environments, they don't believe they're going to live beyond the age of like 24, 25. So how they then live is they almost feel like, I've not got time to waste, so I might as well do this now. They're living fast, but they don't see a future. And so they're actually ruining their present because they're thinking, well, what's the point? You know, all of this stuff about like life's too short, but people can sometimes take it to the opposite level. So you can say life's too short, so therefore I've got to achieve a lot of things quickly and I've got to make sure every day counts. Or you can say life is short, or what's the point? Like, I'm not going to live beyond a certain age, so I need to do everything fast, everything quick, not really care about my life, be really reckless. So it was talking about in the film, there are some things that he relates to with ordinary people. So he says to get out of the ghetto and into the lower middle class time zone costs 1 month. I don't know if this is the film he's talking about. To get from the lower middle class time zone into the middle class costs 2 months' time. To get from the upper middle class time zone into Greenwich. So he says that really the probability of someone in the ghetto ever accumulating a month of time is unlikely, and the people who newly turn 25 rarely go to the higher time zones, because to do so they'd have to leave their family behind. So it's saying in the film, this guy Will, his family was in such deep debt that all of his time was spent and gone after a week after his 25th birthday, because he was just he was always had debt. Now, I haven't explained that brilliantly, but what he's trying to get at really is that it's not about we are running out of time every day, we're running out of time, but it's how we use that time. I don't look at it as being, I don't waste any days. That's just me. I don't waste a day, ever. I've never really done that. So for me, every day has got to be productive in some way, even if that is just I read a book, or I learn something new, or I speak to someone on the phone, or I rest. Even resting, you can count that as being productive, because if you rest, it means you're going to be more energized the next day, that sort of thing. So there's another thing in the book, Stephen Covey. It says Stephen Covey he's wrote a book, and I can't remember, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. That's it, that's the book. And it says he's a business strategist. Dr. Stephen Covey used rocks, pebbles and a bucket to teach time management. In the activity, he filled the bucket with the small pebbles and then added the medium and large rocks. However, when the small pebbles taken up the bottom half of the bucket, the medium and large rocks couldn't fit it all in. So then he emptied the bucket and started over. This time he put in the medium and large rocks first, and then he poured the pebbles into the gaps and everything fit. So he says the bucket symbolises our time. The medium and large rocks represent important activities such as relationships, planning, learning and health, and the pebbles represent urgent activities such as checking email and going to meetings. When we put the urgent before the important, we never get to the important. So that's just a good example of how we prioritise our time, what we view as important and what we view as urgent. And I think that's like me sometimes. I think today, I've got 100 things to do today. But I decided it's important for me to get out, go for a walk. I've made a video as well, a walk and talk video. It was raining. I still went for a walk when it was raining. Then I went and went shopping, bought a few things. I mean, I wasn't really planning on going out today because I've got a full day packed. I'm probably not going to finish today till late tonight because I've got so many things. But it's what's important. It's probably more urgent. It would have been for me to check through my emails that I've got to do, and I've got lots of other things. But it was important for me to go for a walk and to get out of the house and to just do something relaxing. So you can choose sometimes. That's what he's saying. So the final thing that I'm going to talk about, because this book review is long, is being in the arena. So this is page, let's see where we are. So it talks about this idea, it's a whole chapter on this. Not being in the arena is failing by default. So it's not the critics. I'll actually do this without looking at the book because I remember this. What he's saying is that to get what you want out of life, you have to get in there, you have to get stuck in, you have to take some risks. There's always going to be people that are saying, you can't do this, or this is too dangerous, or what are you doing that for, or what do you need that for, or why are you seeking more money? That's just being greedy. Why are you travelling around for? You're going to get hurt. Why are you doing this for? What are you dating that person for? There's always going to be critics, but it's saying to get in the arena is where everything happens. So you need to take that risk. You need to be the person that says, because I want my future self to be the best person that I can be, then I'm going to go for it. I'm going to get in that arena and I'm going to succeed. So he gives lots of sporting examples. He talks about basketball stars in there. He talks about NFL players. Some of the names I've heard of, some I've not. But he's really talking about the fact that some of these sports people are constantly getting criticised. It's same as the celebrities, it's same as anyone if you think about it. To put yourself out there in today's society or in general, even back in the day, the public is going to slate you, they're going to slate what you're wearing, they're going to, if you miss a goal, you only have to think about some of these like championships. I didn't watch the Euro 2020, but I heard about it. I definitely heard about like how people were really criticising the fact that people got to a final and they're still, because they didn't win, have the audacity to criticise like players for missing penalties, but criticise to the top level means, as in top level to the worst level, means this is what people are having to deal with. You get in that arena and you show up, and it doesn't matter because there are still going to be hundreds of people sitting in their armchair critics, he calls it in the book, saying you could have done better. What are you doing? Why are you even wearing this shirt? Or you don't represent this. Or like I said, people on YouTube about the Wimbledon players as well. This was a boring final. You didn't deserve to win. You didn't do all this. So you have to be prepared to take it. Don't care what anyone else thinks. What are they doing there sitting in their chair, typing and criticising you when they've not even like got into the gym, like the amount of time these sports people have got in there. They've not reached a final. They've got no medals to show for what they're doing. So the whole section is about getting into the arena, ignoring the haters, ignoring the critics, doing what you've got to do. And that's like a philosophy for life, really, because if you want to do something, don't let anyone stop you. I've always been, my mum, when I was 15, my mum used to say, why are you so awkward? Why are you always got something to say? Why are you so opinionated? When I was doing sociology A-level and I was telling my mum about, boys and girls and like the fact that you shouldn't, because my mum is very traditional. She would have the girls, we had to do the dishes and do housework and stuff. The boys could sit there, put the plates on the floor, and she'd be like, why is the house a mess? And she'd be telling me, and I'd say, Mum, it's not my plate, it's my brother's. She'd be like, boys don't need to do housework. So I've always been someone that if I want something or if I want to do something, then I'm going to do it regardless of what family, friends or anyone else thinks. So that's what we need to do. Get in the arena. You're going to fail. You're going to get bloody. It's going to hurt. But at least you've tried. You got a choice of being the person in the arena trying or the person sitting on the sidelines, criticising. So I hope you found this video useful. So the book is Be Your Future Self by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. He gave it 9 out of 10. You can find it on Amazon, but probably on other places as well. You can buy these books. Let me know what you guys think if you've read the book or if you're interested in reading it, and I'll speak to you all soon. I'm still going to be doing weekly book reviews, and if you want to check out my new channel, Marianne Living Life, then you can do that as well. Take care. Bye.